Hello, I'm A.R. Bernard, and I want to thank you for tuning into our program today. Today, I have a very special guest with an interesting story, especially as we see guys like Tiger Woods change the face of golf in the past decade. My guest is Christopher Arceneaux, and I'm going to call you Chris. Is that okay, Chris?
That's fine.
Now, before you're about to make a very important life change decision, because you're leaving the security of a regular job, and be careful how I say that, because this is going to become your regular job, and it's going to affect your family and everything. So, but before we talk about that, I'd like to know your journey prior to that, because you're about to go into full-time golf, pursuing PGA, right?
That's correct.
What were you doing before that?
I was when I first moved to New York, I started off as a car salesman.
A car salesman?
Yeah, in Brooklyn.
Now, you're originally from where?
Louisiana.
Louisiana?
Lafayette, Louisiana.
Lafayette, Louisiana. And you came to New York when?
I actually moved here in late '96.
Late '96. Yeah. And you started out as a car salesman.
Right.
How did that go?
Well, I think the question I always get asked, how was New York? I think the way I could explain it, being I would say a country boy from the South, was like going to the radio and turning to full blast. You never know what you're going to expect. But it was very interesting when I first got here. Was
it dealing with the New York people?
Well, I would say the culture changes. I was so friendly, and I found people very cold, and like whoa, like that was a big shock for me.
Cold and guarded? Not New Yorkers. We're warm and loving.
No, cold.
That's another show. We'll talk about that another time. So you went into the car sales business,
right?
All right, and there was a next step before golf for you?
Yeah, actually, the next step after that, after car sales, I went into mortgage banking. I had been playing golf for all my life since I was 12.
Really? So while you were doing these other jobs, you were still playing golf?
Yeah, still what we call trophy love, gathering all the trophies. Every event I could play on the weekend or during the week, take a couple of days off, and come home with another trophy.
At what age did you start playing?
Started playing golf when I was 12.
12 years old?
Yeah.
How did you get interested? A 12-year-old interested in golf, and this goes back a few years.
Yes.
That you got interested.
Yeah, I mean, it's been, I would say, the love. I mean, it's always been there. It's just passion has always been there. And the way I got started, I was doing some lawn work for one of my neighbors, and he had golf clubs sitting right behind his back door, one of his closet doors, and I just grabbed the club and started swinging it in the air. He said, wait a minute, not in the house. So he actually gave me the club and 6 golf balls, and literally, the front of his house faced my backyard. When he went off out to work in the oil field, he had 7 days on, 7 days off. When he came back, he had a few broken windows. So I was chopping up the yard and everything, and my mom said, that's it now, you got to go to the golf course. So that's where my love really started, and got a chance to really experience the game from a different end.
But was it the clubs at that point, or did you have exposure to golf? Television, someone that you know and admired?
Well, my uncle had played golf for years, but like I said, he was on the inside of the fence. I was on the outside of the fence. So I was always waiting for the balls to come across the fence so I could sell it back to the guys for a quarter. So I was riding my bicycle down Louisiana Avenue, chasing the golf balls, just waiting for the guy to slice one over the fence so I can go back and, sell the balls back to the guys. But I never had any interest until my neighbor gave me that club, and then that's when they took me out. And I can remember the guy taking one of the guys, the late Floyd Andrews and B.J. Johnson, just taking me out to a big barrel of golf clubs and assembling a set of clubs for me, and then saying, one guy said, take it back to 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. And for me, it was so funny because I couldn't even tell time at that time, and it was so funny at that time because the experience, of that point, that's where it really opened the door for me, being around the golf course.
Not giving away your age, but we're going to probably end up doing that anyway. What decade was this? Was this the 80s, the 90s?
Whew. Well, I'm just to put it on the table. I've been playing golf for over 27 years.
Okay, so
Yeah,
this
started
takes
at the
you
age of
back
12.
to the 80s.
Yeah.
Right.
So I've pretty much given it away now.
But immediately you think of golf as a more upper class sport that predominantly one particular segment of the population. You're talking about money and culture. What made you think that you could get involved with golf, or did you start out just as a sport?
Well, I started off with, I guess, with the passion of teeing that ball on the ground and just giving that ball a whack. I started off with that, and then as I you know, around the golf course, the guys say this kid's not going away, so we got to do something for him. They provided me with memberships to the golf course, gave me a job. I was washing the golf course, picking up, you know, keeping the golf course clean. So my uncle pretty much, you know, he opened that door for me, and a lot of the guys around, they took attached to me, so they say, you know, let's work with this young man
Was this in Louisiana?
in Louisiana.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, was this a separate golf course, or, you know, because your uncle, African American,
Yes.
right? And he was a member of the club. They got you in as a member of the club. How did that work?
Well, it was a public golf course, and he actually had been around the golf course for years. I mean, he actually was a greenskeeper at one course, and cart attendant and you know, golf course maintenance guy at the course also. So it was very easy for him because he was a fixture there. So
Okay.
anything he would say or wanted, you know, was pretty much easy for it to get done. But
I'd like to talk about a little bit about how he got involved, but we're going to take a break. We'll be back right after this.